This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Boobies! Boobies!
Hi.
Hello, and welcome to
Boobies.
Boobies. That's right. We're your hosts. I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Joshua.
And today we are here to talk to you about a
What is it? What is it?
psycho crazy film, American Psycho.
American Psycho, if you couldn't tell by the
2000.
title already. Yes, which is filmed and directed by Miss Mary Herron, who co-wrote the screenplay with Guinevere Turner. And it's based off a 1991 novel by Bret Easton Ellis.
Yep. And it's starring Christian Bale, Willem Dafoe, Jared Leto, Reese Witherspoon, Chloë Sevigny. How do you say your name?
Sevigny.
Sevigny.
Yeah, that's how I say it. I'm pretty sure that's how you say it, but
Yeah.
you know.
I
yes.
know that
Sevigny.
we've had her in other
different film,
movies
yeah.
before, and I just forgot.
Chloë Sevigny, Samantha Mathis, Cara Seymour, Justin Theroux, and I mean, it's
Has some big names in it.
heavy hitters. Yeah, a lot of people who...
Even though like Willem Dafoe's character is not super prominent,
Yeah,
he only comes in a few times,
he's interspersed.
but he's such a big name.
But even a lot of them like went on to go and do things that are like prominent after the fact. So it's kind of like cool to see them, you know, all kind of blossoming. And this is Christian Bale's apparently like kind of big debut into Hollywood.
A good debut because
Yeah.
his acting in this film was astonishing.
Yeah.
It was so good.
He really knows how to sell it.
Yeah. Like I would believe that this man is psycho.
There were many times too where I'm like looking at him and I'm like, wow, he's kind of crazy.
He crazy. He is unhinged.
But he's basically like that, the epitome, the bubbled up version of all of those anxieties and stress and the worst of what our society has kind of produced today.
Yeah.
And which is hence the name American Psycho. But yeah, it's a pretty crazy. I don't want to say crazy film, but it's a film where it's like it really blurs the lines between, is this really happening? Is this not happening?
Yeah, I still am not sure whether or not he actually killed all those people or if he just imagined all of it and doodled it in his notebook that Miss Jean found.
It's all left very ambiguously, and it's because of the book left it that way as well. And then, I mean, it's so hard because they really have no type of like separation between like, it's like he's breaking a fourth wall, but then it's like not, and then it's like all happening with the same sentence as he's talking to someone, and they do not pay attention or, you know, what's the word? Like acknowledge what he's just said, and they say or talk about something else.
Yeah.
And so it's, a lot of the times I'm like, what's going on? What just happened?
Yes. And this film had some very like harsh cuts that it was like watching a bunch of different tiny movies with like plot lines that didn't quite line up with each other, or like
I can see what you mean.
Plot points that didn't.
Yeah.
Like it just would be like there would be no transition in between them. It would just be like
between like a night scene and then it's the next day, or kind of like
and it would feel like in the middle of a sentence. Like there's no we're gonna go home kind of thing, and then you wake up. Like it was just like okay, next day. And
like in between the Christmas party and something else, or like whenever they end up at that one dinner and everyone's there and you're getting introduced to everybody and they're like everybody's having an affair with each other basically.
Yeah.
Like right before we got to that scene, it was just like deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh, okay, we're moving on, trucking along.
But yeah, you want to jump into it?
Yes. We start open with some what you think is like cheesy blood spatters as you get the title sequence, which I think is what it's meant to look like.
Yeah.
But then you see that it's like a compote, like little jam underneath some meat because you get some meat chopping.
It reminded me of the menu.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, okay. You saw? Okay, yeah. It reminded me kind of that actually. But yes, very kitchen gourmet. Fine dining. Experience.
The plated very well.
Yes, Top Chef.
Yeah.
And so we are, and I really like how it's like all white, and we have them doing that with the food, and we get the credits coming by, and we have like the title card essentially already, and it's just like American Psycho. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have the credits rolling, and that's when you start to see that it's like a pretty star-studded cast, and we start to then go into people chattering. We have a restaurant and
very high class, fancy
fine dining at its best. SpongeBob's fine dining, and we have kind of this
bunch of finance bros eating dinner.
Yeah, and we're set in the 80s, and you can already tell from the like setting and the way that like people are dressed, the clothing, the style of hair. One lady, I think it might be later in the film, or it could be at the beginning. Whenever, I think it's when the guy's reading the menu and like the specials off. Oh, This lady's hair is so tall, it just went like taller than the menu.
Yeah, so
they have
big.
no menus. Hello.
It was really quite something. But so we're there, and a bunch of finance bros eating dinner, and one guy's being like pretty anti-Semitic and not being chill. And Christian Bale's character, Patrick, does a good job he's got like some really good moral views. Like,
well, it's like the facade he's trying to put on.
Yeah.
That we learn later. He's like, every man should be able to do this, essentially.
Yeah.
He's able to kind of portray himself.
Good points.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, yeah. But then you're like, but wait, he's a murderer. And he feels nothing.
Hey, I'm Blair.
And I'm Brittany. And we're the host of
By the Cover Podcast.
We cover everything from mysteries, thrillers, romance, chick lit, and even some smut.
Don't forget the smut.
Yeah.
We're so excited to get this thing going and share this with you guys. We've been talking about this for months, and it's finally happening.
Yes.
Special shout out to Rogue Media for helping us with this.
For sure. You can find us on Instagram at @bythecover_podcast.
You can also find us on Facebook and TikTok, so don't forget to give us a follow on those two also.
And we are so excited to dive into some of our favorite books and share those with you.
We can't wait. Hope you love it.
Hey y'all, I'm April.
Hi, I'm Caroline.
And we have a new podcast for you. What's it called, Caroline?
Bloody Happy Hour.
It's going to be your new favorite guilty pleasure. We're going to talk about some bloody stuff. Serial killers. True crime. Rapists. Why not join us? We'll have a good time.
You literally never know. I don't know what I'm going to say. Bloody Happy Hour. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Boobies.
But then that's basically all you get of that scene, and then we're in a club.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, we're at a club now.
We're at the club, and before that, wasn't there like I I love how someone was like, they don't have a good bathroom to do coke in.
Yeah.
So already from
Which
the
you can
get-go,
tell it's also all about the 80s because they
Yeah.
were all doing cocaine.
Yeah, and then the way they all pull out their credit cards at the end, or whatever. But
And they
yes.
looked like they were all like Amexes.
Oh yeah, the big heavy hitter cards, the heavy ones, and they're at the club. And this is whenever he's trying to buy a drink, and the lady is like, "There's ticket. Which one? Who tries to use tickets at a club?" But anyways,
Yeah, she's like, these aren't good.
you need cash, and he's like, "You ugly bitch! I'm gonna stab you and play with your blood."
You're a fucking ugly bitch. I want to stab you to death and play around in your blood.
Yeah.
And it's like,
And that's our first
Damn.
indication of like him saying something and nobody responds to it.
Yeah.
And he also, his delivery most of the time is just, it's so natural. And it's so like, he's smiling while after he says it, and he's just like waiting for his drink, So I thought that
imagine
was so interesting.
it was loud enough in there too
That she didn't hear it.
Yeah, she didn't hear it. But yeah, there are several instances in the film where people talk to, or he'll say something and then people just immediately glaze over it, brush
Do you
it
think
off.
he's actually saying it?
Yeah, I don't know now.
Because it just could be all be in his head. Yeah.
Yeah,
'Cause I'd
this
be
movie
saying a lot of
made
stuff
me
in my
feel like
head.
I was psycho. I didn't
Honestly,
know
yeah.
what was going on.
Me too.
I was like,
Yeah, same. Especially in moments
It's good, though.
when he's just going on, or he's doing all of his killing, and I'm just like, what? How are we here? And then yeah. Especially even later when it gets more confusing towards the end, when we have it kind of climaxing and then you wake up and it's like, wait, did anything happen with what the fuck? You know what I mean?
yeah.
But we have him then kidding to his apartment right after all of this, and then we get to see his all white apartment, very clean and aesthetically pleasing apartment.
Yeah. And this is where we get one of the first little monologues that he does where he narrates.
His get ready with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, essentially.
It's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
He says that he's 27, so we establish his age. His name is Patrick Bateman.
Yeah.
Also, he did not look 27.
He didn't. No.
I was like, he's 27 with a lot of question marks.
Yeah, he didn't look. He looked like he's in his 30s.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Also,
Some people age differently.
yeah, because then there are some people that I'm like, so really, really young for their age, and some people look really older for their age. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, I agree with you. Did not look 27. And he's talking about his skincare routine, essentially, what he does, and talking about the cold press that he puts on his eyes, and doing he can do 1,000 crunches. Yeah, overkill.
Yeah.
What is 1,000 crunches gonna do?
Yeah.
It
It reminds me of One Punch Man, which is an anime
got
in
ya.
which he does
1,000 crunches. Oh, okay.
1,000 push-ups. And
Okay. All of that.
that's how he gets his superhuman strength. Is
Oh.
he does a
All of
really
that.
intense workout routine. But
I
it's
guess
simple.
it does work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Compound exercises are good. It's calisthenics, essentially. I like that word a lot. That's a really
Calisthenics.
good drag name.
Yeah, I like
Welcome
that.
to the stage, calisthenics.
I would be like, woo.
I'm calisthenics, but I don't do any flips, no tricks. I can barely move.
Just
I just get wheeled on stage, propped up like one of those things
on the furniture dolly.
Oh yeah.
You're
That's great.
just Hannibal.
Just a little platform. Yeah.
We can do that right now. There's a furniture dolly
Push
behind
play, and I just do a little number with my fingers.
you. What if we
and
just stopped the
facial
podcast
emotions.
and I rolled you around for the rest of it?
Would there be any talking?
No,
How would? Yes.
we just stopped the podcast.
Okay. Yeah. We will resume later. And so we have we get to see his butt, which is really nice. This man has a really nice body.
Yeah.
I'm sure the workout regimen, whatever you say that word, and his diet or whatever he was eating or not eating, his body was so no ounce of fat
Yeah,
whatsoever.
he was
Cut, lean, he looked, the butt was nice and perky.
Yeah, he looked very good.
Wow. It was
I was like,
I was
hot
like,
damn, I didn't know
dang.
Christian Bale was this attractive.
yeah, same, honestly, because I've never been oh man, he's really hot. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he was looking pretty. I mean, I guess you show anybody looking naked like that, they look good. But
Yeah.
and I guess that's the point, honestly.
It was pretty weird how he just
because-
worked out in his underwear.
Yeah.
I was like,
well, I think a lot of people do that.
Oh.
Ish. I mean, isn't essentially some athletic clothing kind of like underwear?
yeah.
Like skin tight, but I get what you mean. And they were boxers, weren't they? No, it was
They
tidy
were like
whities.
tidy
It was
whities, yeah.
You're right. But probably because he likes looking at himself, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
'Cause he's so
we see that
narcissistic.
later
Yeah,
when he's having sex.
the sexuals.
He's just like
He's proud of himself. Yeah.
in the mirror.
Oh yeah, it's pretty awkward, honestly.
It was. I was like, damn. And then he kept like flexing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, boy, you need to stop.
And so he ends up getting to work, I believe, right? And that's whenever we meet Jean and we get to meet his,
For
she's
some
a
reason, I
secretary.
thought her name was Shelley at
Oh.
first. And then later on, they say Jean,
Jean,
more.
yeah.
And I was like, I thought her name was Shelley this whole time. They said something that sounded like Shelley.
Or maybe someone else's, maybe that name came up,
Yeah.
but he ends up like she ends up telling him about like, appointments, this and that. He tells her that she should not wear the suit that she's wearing. She needs to wear a dress because she's prettier than that.
Yeah,
and, like,
basically, she needs to wear more feminine clothes and wear high heels because he likes high heels.
Yeah.
He's dehumanizing her.
Yeah.
Also, we got during his narration, he says there is an idea of Patrick Bateman, but he's simply an entity. And it's like, okay, so there's like this, he's putting on this big mask
Yeah.
for everyone.
Of course. Yeah. Which, I mean,
And he openly admits that from the beginning.
which everybody,
He's very honest.
because
This whole
everybody
film.
does, as certain, you mask a bit because that's just
Yeah.
natural to do. But
I
he's
have different
certainly-
personalities for different people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's literally that's ADHD. And so, and to his defense, I mean, other than when he starts kind of killing people, which we don't even know if he actually did.
Yeah.
He's essentially just kind of. We're just getting to see the inner monologue being outer, essentially, of just kind of everybody kind of gets frustrated sometimes and wants to grab someone's head and ram it onto the table. Like that's just natural,
Yeah.
right? I feel like I definitely have had that thought before, but
Bam, bam, bam.
yeah, or want to punch a baby in the face. Like,
Yeah.
come on now,
One day
like
looks
just be
like
honest. But just don't have a breakdown and start killing homeless people in the street and
Yeah.
ladies. Oh, and there was a scene that I was like, oh, Caitlin.
Yeah, I know. I was like, please
oh,
don't
no.
hurt this cat.
Oh no. I was like, crap. Yeah. Oh, but when he started stomping on the dog,
Yeah, that too.
that was
I was like,
horrible.
oh my God.
yeah.
He
That's a
killed
bit
a puppy while
bit
he was
much.
at it. Yeah.
That's how you know someone is really unhinged.
Yeah, if they can hurt animals.
They're so defenseless.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and also not him doing all of this stuff and acting like he's so busy, and then it just goes to show and he just starts to put on TV, and he's just watching TV at work. I'm just that is such a in his head he's built up that he's just so important, but he just gets there and he starts watching TV.
Yeah.
Which I'm assuming not all of them do that, but we also learn later or here in a bit that he's a nepo baby. Right? His dad practically owns the company.
Yeah, that's right.
And so
Reese Witherspoon's
yes,
character.
she says
Evelyn.
that. And so to
She's
me,
like, you can do whatever you want.
that shows and goes probably and adds to a lot of who his character is that we don't have to see, but I'm sure he's grown up and been spoon fed and has been able to go and live privileged and get to this point to where no wonder he probably feels insane and crazy because he has been deluded to feel that he's so important.
Yeah.
But then he has literally no skills to offer to anybody or able to do anything. And he's just a child, essentially, kind of trying to function in an adult world. Which is crazy because that's how I was literally up until
You're
3
a
months
Nepo
ago.
baby?
No, just a child trying to function in an adult world. And so we have, after all of that and him watching TV, we cut to Reese and him in the car.
Yes.
Yes.
Evelyn is his fiance. We find out. He says my supposed or apparent fiance.
Yeah.
And it's
Which
what do
throughout
you
the whole
mean by
film,
that?
I never understand how serious their relationship is or isn't because it's so
She's talking about weddings
but
and
he's nah, but then they still
He's
have
I'm too
dates.
busy.
And then but they don't live together And then, yeah.
Yeah, very weird. Very odd situationship that's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I guess it also goes to show that like it's really trying to show also like the facade he's trying to put on, like because every guy is supposed to have like that arm candy and the blonde lady with the big tits and the nice butt, and like they're even talking about later like there's no girls with the best like a good personality, and they're trying to describe the girl who would have the good personality, and it's like
they're all uggos.
It's so demeaning, and they're just like it would be
they
someone
have to
who
make up for their lack of attractiveness with their personality.
Or he's like the perfect girl would be like someone who is like so slutty but then like is not slutty and then keeps their mouth shut about it and then all this other stuff. And basically an impossible situation. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I love how they're talking about it, right? And she's talking, or not talking about that, but talking about like life, work, whatever, the wedding. And she mentions like, why don't you just quit? You hate that job anyways. And he's like, because I want to fit in. Yeah. And I think that's like literally the whole theme of the whole movie, right? Is he just literally just wants to fit in and is like willing to like do anything or be anything. And it's like causing him to like literally go crazy.
Yeah. And have these mental tears as to who he really is.
Maybe he's losing time.
Yeah, probably.
Segue into Split. Yeah.
I would imagine so that he is.
Yeah.
But then we get to the dinner, and this is where we have the lots of affairs going on.
Yes.
Basically, he gets there and he's like, I'm pretty sure my fiance is having an affair with this guy, but she doesn't know that I'm having an affair with her best friend, this gal. And
who's married to this guy. And then,
who doesn't know that she's having an affair.
Yeah.
Who then later turns out to want to have an affair with Patrick Bateman.
Yeah.
That was wild for me.
I saw it coming, but also,
I mean, he does now, like when I look back at it, I was like, okay, but I also like fully expected him to kill him in that moment.
Oh yeah.
So I was ready for him to just go, and then he turned around and he was like, it was so gentle. He just kissed his little wrist, and I was like, oh, what?
I love how Christian was so shook too.
Bateman washed his gloves.
Yeah. It's so funny, like what ticks him off and stuff.
Yeah.
But yes, back to the dinner. We have them all. He's kind of catching us up on all these characters that are there, and we also see for some reason we get her cousins who kind of pop in here now. They're artists, and we have him then kind of leaning into what you were talking earlier, how he mentions how every man has to like be able to like lead a conversation and have like I don't remember what the verbiage he uses, but he's talking there at the table, and it's making it seem like he's like, America needs to get back to like morals and values, and we need to get back to, this and that in order to be able to be, I guess, prosperous again. Make America great again is what it's sounding like.
Yeah.
And
he was putting a lot of his friends in place too. Like one of them was like Sri Lanka or something. And he was like, Sri Lanka and blah, blah, blah. This is what you should care about. And again, putting on some good moralistic kind of
higher than thou
vibes facade, but
he's not.
He's a psycho.
It's like
murderer.
what he really wants to be, and he's so frustrated that he can't be that he turns into like his impulses to just like especially because a lot of times when he does kill, it's after things trigger him, or he's pissed off about something, so he's just throwing a tantrum basically.
And then his murderous impulses kick in.
Like here in a moment, we are at the ATM, and he's getting why is he always getting cash? I guess for the strippers or the prostitutes. I mean, not strippers. Right?
Yeah.
But anyways, he's getting cash out of the ATM, and he ends up having this lady walk by him, and she's like really actually alluring and like mysterious, and so he like walks up behind her, and then I love how they're just at like the crosswalk, and he's just like, hello, and she's just like, hey, like, what do you want?
I thought they were gonna go home together.
Well, I'm pretty sure they did.
They did.
I'm pretty sure
You don't know, though, because it just cuts. Maybe the cuts are him losing time.
It could be. But a lot of the times, too, it's like when cuts like that happen, it's like that happens even later when I think he's taking one of the that model home. And then it's the next day and you see he has a strand of blonde hair.
Yeah.
But you don't know what transpired.
Yeah.
So
that time I assumed.
Right?
Yeah. Because it made it kind of clear that they were going home together.
Her head was the one in the freezer?
Yes.
No. Not the model.
Oh. I thought it was the model's head in the freezer.
Because I thought that happened after the fact. We saw the head. I thought we saw the head before he gets with the model.
No.
No?
Yeah, we saw it after.
After? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because I was thinking that also could have been the lady that we saw on the street just now.
But she had brown hair, I thought.
She did. Was the one in the freezer more blonde to you? Okay. We also stopped seeing Courtney. Could it have been Courtney?
Oh, yeah, we do stop seeing Courtney after a while. Yeah. Could have been. I thought it was the model. But yeah. I don't know.
Anyways.
It was kind of hard to tell. Her head was in a bag.
and in the freezer.
Yeah.
Decomposing. So we have all that happening, but then it's the next day because this is also another thing where it's like, I'm sure he did kill her because he's trying to get blood out of his laundry, out of his sheets. He's at the laundromat.
Yeah.
After the ATM lady.
I just skipped a whole bunch.
You lost track of time and you murdered somebody.
I did.
So after the ATM lady and the hello when they walk in the mysterious of the night, he's at a laundromat. And this is whenever he's yelling at the lady about like trying to get the stain out of his sheets. And Victoria walks in and she's like, hey, like, what are you doing, Bateman? I thought I recognized you. And he's like, can you talk to them? Because I got to go to work, do this and do that.
Yeah.
And then that's whenever she's like, okay, she's trying to like get a date with him. And so he's like, can this and this work? And anyways, he blows her off. And then that's whenever he ends up leaving.
She totally wasn't his type.
Oh, no, she wasn't blonde or anything like that. And she was probably smart. I don't know. But not that smart if she's pining for him, but everybody's pining for him in this movie. Like he's supposed to give off that like everybody wants him vibes, I guess.
Yeah.
But he ends up then going and talking to Courtney on the phone.
Yes. Okay. This is where I get back in.
Yeah, because he's talking to her. He's like got porn playing in the background.
Yeah.
Because he's just.
And he had mentioned earlier that she had some serious drug issues.
Oh, yeah, which we can see here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can tell already on the phone, she's looking pretty rough. And he's basically saying, like, I want to take you to a nice dinner and take you to Demacies. Was that the name of? No,
Dorsey's.
It's dorsal fin.
Dorsey.
Demacies is a Mediterranean buffet that we went to the other night.
Was it good?
It was good.
Did you like it?
Yeah.
Did you have any peanut butter soup?
No.
Which when he said that, he's like, you're going to have the peanut butter soup. I was like, what the hell is peanut butter soup?
Yeah, that sounds
Have you ever had that?
Disgusting.
Yeah, I don't think that would be good.
Yeah.
But who am I to say what that would taste like?
But yeah, he is talking with her on the phone. They are deciding that they're going to go to dinner. And at first she was kind of apprehensive or like, no. Yeah. And then he mentions Dorsey's. And she's like, oh,
that's okay. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he calls Dorsey's
and they just laugh at him.
Yeah, they're just like, ha, 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 ha.
Yeah.
Which I wonder if they were really laughing or
if he was just picturing or thinking that in his head.
Yeah,
could have been imagined, but they were probably laughing because it's supposed to be really hard.
Yeah,
and he just
get a reservation there,
like nothing. And especially the way he led with like, I'm sure it's pretty late, but like especially when you lead with that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just feel like, yeah.
It's like you already know the answer to the question.
And so, but they end up at a restaurant.
And she's so drugged up that she cannot even stay awake.
And she's like, is this Dorsey's? And he's like, yeah, sure it is, babe.
And holds up the menu that clearly says a different name.
Yeah, it's like started with a B, like Barra something or bar. Almost Barracuda, but not Barracuda. And so then that's whenever he starts ordering all that shit for her and is like, you're gonna have the peanut butter soup and this and that. And she's just like, thanks.
Sounds
and just slumps
great.
down. And yeah, I'm surprised nobody was like calling.
Have you killed this girl? Like,
I don't know.
What have you done to her?
People don't care. These rich people don't care.
Yeah,
they mind their own
80s.
business because they're all doing shady shit.
They're all doing coke.
Yeah. And so that's whenever we have our introduction to Jared Leto, right? We
Yes.
get Paul Allen.
Paul Allen, he comes in and he basically mistakes him for another man.
Happersnatch or something like that.
Yeah, Marcus.
Hopper.
Something.
Yeah. Mhm.
And Patrick Bateman just goes along with it.
Yes.
And he's just like, okay, yep. And then he's like, how's Cecilia, who's not his girlfriend?
Yeah, because he's not Marcus.
Because he's not Marcus. And he just, again, goes along with it and is like, oh, she's great, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then, my phone
Yeah,
almost
she's
fell over.
great. He's playing along with it. And then that's whenever we have him also mentioning in his head, like, because we're getting an inner monologue at the same time that, like, he's talking to him, and he's kind of also like, well, no, he was mistaking me for this guy because, like, we have the same barber and we work at the same place, we do the same job,
we have the same taste for Valentino suits. We have the same glasses. And
Which
he
we
says,
also
I
saw-
do have a slightly better haircut,
Yeah.
is what he says.
And that's also right before Paul Allen too. We got that Lou was like really like being touchy with him and trying to touch his suit and being like, "Is
Yeah.
this whatever?" So it's
looks
kind
so
of
soft.
small little like hints of like where we get to later. But yeah, and then we have this bloody awful dick comparing competition of business cards.
Business cards, yeah.
Yeah.
And his card was the best.
Paul Allen's.
Well, Paul Allen's was once they showed it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But-
whose do you mean?
Patrick Bateman's
Patrick's. Oh, okay,
was
yeah.
at first. And I didn't like the grain on the other ones.
Yeah,
I was like, they were icky looking.
you liked his because it was
Texture.
flat.
Yeah.
I like the bumpy ones.
I didn't like the bumpy ones.
I did. I liked them. See, I like a good texture. But also later on when Lou shows his was really nice with like the gold inflections or
Yeah.
something. Yeah. But would you do eggshell or ivory or bone?
I liked his bone.
I like the bone too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was nice.
And then
So
he had,
off white.
yeah,
I would do tooth, maybe.
tooth.
Tooth.
Slightly yellowed.
No, just tooth. I guess. I mean, it doesn't have to be like a white tooth, but like tooth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tooth. Teeth?
Teeth.
Tithe.
Tithe. Tooth is
Can 3 teeth be a tithe?
tithe.
I want to start that.
I'm going to get my tithe
I
cleaned.
want to get my tithe. Just my tithe.
Just my tithe.
That sounds cool.
1, 2, 3.
That's a cool drag name.
Tithe.
Tithe.
I like it.
How would you spell it?
T-Y-T-H-E.
Yeah. What? Hold on, I got
Tithe.
lost. T-Y-T-H-E. Oh, I see it.
Tithe.
Okay. I had to see it in my head. That's funny. Hey, when you spell things out, do you have to like imagine the letters big?
Yeah.
Okay, because that's literally what I just did.
Yeah, I have
Okay.
to spell things out in my brain or have to
Like
physically write it down.
like I'm visually picturing the letters.
Yeah.
Tithe. Okay. I like it with the Y.
I figured that would make it more saucy than just an I. But
I'm trying to think of any other way that you could like. No, because anyways, we're getting off topic. We are also then this is after
and they
he
all
gets
said
to-
vice president.
Oh yeah,
all
yeah,
of the
everybody.
cards did.
So how can everybody be VP?
I think they were all maybe expecting a promotion or something.
And maybe that's why everybody's
they
like,
all-
that's why everybody's like, oh, I thought about making new cards too.
Yeah.
Like, that makes sense. That makes
And
sense.
they were like, yeah, here's my new card. My new card.
That
and
makes
they were
sense.
all like prepared for the promotion. That was what my thought process was.
No, yeah, that honestly makes sense. I can see that. And them all gunning for the same spot. And no wonder they're all like literally trying to be like one up each other. But all of this to lead Bateman to get triggered by Paul Allen's card because he's like in his head like, oh, it even has a watermark. And it's
Yeah.
like so cool. And then that's whenever we get the scene after where he goes into the alleyway and kind of unfortunately finds this vagrant and then starts to kill him.
Yeah.
He starts to talk to him in a really demeaning way, which is really sad. Like this whole scene made me feel like really, I don't want to, like, not awkward, but like just made me feel really sad.
Yeah.
Like, because
It
it's
was
like,
a very sad scene.
yeah.
Because at first he seemed like he was like,
gonna help him.
yeah, he seemed like he was going to help him. And then he just starts going ham on him and is just being so rude. And then then he pulls out the knife and then he just starts stabbing him. And it's like, what in the hell?
Yeah.
And then the dog, he stands up and he stomps on the dog.
On the dog. I thought that was unnecessary.
Yeah,
but he's obviously
killed the dog.
in a mood. He's in a mood. And he does all that and just kind of walks off like nothing. And nobody sees this, obviously, because also a lot of the times, are they in Chicago?
I have no clue. I thought it was New York.
I don't know. But a lot of the times I'm like, I know these cities are supposed to be like, they don't sleep like night and day. Like people are out. So I'm like, where's everybody at? Because a lot of the times, and that's why
he
I'm
was
like,
in an alleyway.
that's why I'm like a lot, but I still feel like
Someone would have passed by.
oh, yeah, I don't know. Like I still feel like something. I don't know. I've never been to a big city.
Again, it's the 80s. They all just mind their own business.
It's true, and there's not as many cameras as there are now.
Yeah.
Especially like there are in Waco. Have you seen all the cameras that are getting put up on every corner? They're like solar powered camera, big old things. They're like, the excuses apparently is because of the eclipse that's going to be happening and the influx of so many people within the next few weeks that they want to be able to monitor everything.
Is Waco like a good viewing spot for the eclipse?
Yeah, it's supposed to be like a total dark out for 4 minutes. The population of Waco is supposed to like double
Interesting.
for like 3 days or something like that. Yeah. I wouldn't. I'm just like, I get it.
I'm not gonna come down here.
But I wouldn't come to here
Yeah.
or like spend. Yeah, I'm just like,
I want to
especially
spend
for
money
3 minutes
just to watch. Yeah.
for 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Like it just doesn't seem worth it to me. Like I just feel like watch a video on YouTube or go outside at night for 3 minutes and bada bing bada boom, same thing.
Yeah.
Right? Kind of. I don't know.
It is.
And so this is whenever we have him going to the spa day after killing, because apparently every murderer, psychotic murderer needs to go get pampered
Yeah.
after killing.
He's got to unleash all that tension
Hi, Shalud. Yeah.
that I guess he didn't unleash on killing the man.
No. Yeah. He and
Got him wound up.
the girl's like very like, oh, Mr. Bateman, you have very soft skin.
Your
so
skin's so nice.
Yeah, you know, and that's whenever we have him showing like he's mentioning that he has no emotion, right?
Yeah. He says, I have all the characteristics of a human being, but not a single emotion other than greed.
Yeah. And disgust.
Yeah.
Or detest or something like that. But and he gets into like the tanning bed. Once again, I mentioned in my notes, I'm like, this man looks so good. I'm sorry. I'm just like, how can someone like look like that? That is so crazy. It's also, there are so many definitions of good. So I just mean like in the sense of like, dang, like I just, because he's a really good actor. Because the way he's like dedicated to his roles, because even all his other roles too that we know that he's in and stuff, like he's just such a good actor. Anyways, we have it now transitioning to a Christmas party that kind of comes out of nowhere.
At a Christmas party.
And I love how
Evelyn has a pig.
This movie doesn't really like do time like that, an established time, but we get a Christmas party. So you kind of have like this sense of like, okay, this is where we're at. But for the most part, it's
you can tell that it's chillier because they're all wearing coats all the time. But that's basically all you get. They're not saying like March 5th.
Yeah.
Or December 5th, I guess is more like what it would be.
And so that's whenever we have him talking to people, schmoozing. Reese Witherspoon's character, Evelyn, comes up with a pig. Which is cute. It's a very hefty pig. Little pot belly. And
very cute.
This is when we have him meeting up with Paul again. And Paul once again mistakes him for Marcus. And Paul is inviting him to dinner.
Yes.
Because he wants to fucking murder this bitch ass. But that's whenever Evelyn comes up after they're kind of having a chat, and he leaves calling him Marcus. And she's like, why is he calling him Marcus?
Why is he calling you that?
But he kisses her for the once and only time in the movie.
Yeah.
Just to distract her.
Very passionate.
Yeah.
I was like, confused.
Just to distract her. Because she was asking a question that he didn't want to answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny that she literally just like kisses him for 2 seconds, and then it's just kind of like her whole body language is kind of like
melts into it.
And then that's it. Yeah. So no more questioning.
Yeah.
And then we cut to the dinner, pretty much essentially.
Yep. We're at dinner, and Paul is complaining about the place and how there's a lack of people there, so it must not be good.
Yeah.
And then Patrick is saying like, no, this
Is the hottest place
specific
in town.
dish is really good.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he's like, is that Ivanka Trump over there? And he was like, no, why would she be here? And then he was like, stupid Patrick. And he was like, Marcus.
Yeah.
And I was like,
And it's so
you're
funny.
falling apart.
A lot of the times in this movie too, like you're supposed to get the feel that he's like this like really methodical and thought out like killer. But so many times during this movie, I'm like, bro, like you were such a like you're fumbling. Like you were
Bumbling.
idiot. Yeah. Like you're just don't even, especially when he's running out of the house of the apartment later.
Yeah. He put on his shoes though. That was so
Right?
funny to me that he was just in his underwear and then, or he was naked.
Yeah, he was naked. We just don't get to see his
shoes.
pee-pee,
Yeah.
Yeah.
With just his shoes on.
which is a damn shame.
Yeah.
And so then, and then also like whenever he's walking out with the big old bag, just like nonchalant, like
And blood, the blood trail behind it.
yeah, I'm just like, bro, or even trying to get those sheets clean, and he's like, it was cranberry juice,
Cran
like,
apple.
bitch, it's not cran apple,
Yeah.
it's not ocean spray, and so that's,
I would know.
yeah, I love
It's
it.
your favorite.
It's really good, and it does not stain that way. That was too deep of a red.
Yeah.
But,
I would have gone with red wine.
yeah, that would have made
first.
way more sense. Or like something like I don't know. But anyways, we have the Mexican restaurant dinner scene happening, and we have him then talking to Paul, and it gets really silly, stupid, funny in a way, because Paul then starts to criticize Patrick Bateman, not
yeah.
realizing that he's at dinner with Patrick Bateman, thinking that it's Marcus. Yeah.
He's like, Patrick Bateman's a dork.
Yeah, which everybody says.
Yeah, because even the lawyer says it later,
Uh-huh.
and he's like, spineless dork.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, damn, that's pretty harsh.
Yeah. It begs me to think that like these people didn't even actually say this, and this is what he's hearing, what he's wanting to hear, because that's what he thinks of himself. And he ends up getting Mr. Paul Allen sloshed a little bit, getting him drunky at the dinner. And then we segue, which is another time where we just get a cut, and then we're at home.
Yep.
Yeah, and we're at
His house, and he's sitting there dancing around. This was a part where it was just like, is this man actually like a psychopath?
Oh, yeah.
Because whenever he was just like going on about Huey Lewis
yeah.
and the news, right?
It's hip to be square.
Yeah. Going on about them, and like in a very, very well thought out like review of them, basically, but just going around and dancing, and then putting on the raincoat and getting the axe, and then the way that he just plays it off the whole time too. Whenever
He's trying so hard to make it seem like just normal and happy-go-lucky, nonchalant.
yeah, and whenever Paul's like, "Is that a raincoat?" and he's like, "Yes, it is."
Yeah.
And I was just like, "Damn, this man is scary."
Yeah, yeah, most definitely. And the way that he just gets that axe and just he had the and this was all thought out because he had the paper. And I love how even Paul is like, why the fuck do you have, the dailies put on the floor?
on the
Like, do you have
floor.
a dog or something? And especially us as the audience, as soon as we saw that on the floor, you're like, oh man, this dude's about
Yeah, I
to
was
get
like,
sloshed. This
He's
dude's
about to get
die.
murdered.
Especially because you know how much he hates him. Like,
Yeah.
he just has this seething like jealousy towards him.
And as soon as that raincoat went on, I was like, oops.
Yeah, and it gives very like Hannibal, how we got that mention of like, he bit her face off and the whole time his heart rate was 86 or whatever. That's what this gives what Patrick gives a little bit.
Yeah.
Like in those moments, like he's just so chill about it, even though what he's doing is so crazy. And then even
Calm,
like
cool, and collected.
because even after he kills him and like gets that like sure, it's like a passionate like 1, 2, 3, but like he doesn't really go at it. He just sits down and then has that cigarette,
Yeah.
or cigar.
Cigar.
Yeah, he just and it just seems very like he's just that cool, calm, and collected kind of about it. And so he kills him, and that's whenever we then have him trying to cover up this whole situation, putting the body in an overnight bag, walking it out, going past the guard, and the guard not caring much.
Yeah, the guard didn't even look twice, even though there was a visible trail of blood behind the bag.
Yeah. Was he really reading something?
Yeah, I think he was. And then he just was like...
Yeah, looked back down.
Right back to his book.
And then we see Lou outside, not with his wife, Courtney.
Yeah, with someone else.
Yeah. And then he's like, oh my gosh, is that you, Patrick? And he's like, no, it is most certainly not. And then they're looking at the bag, and then he's like, oh my gosh, you know, who made that bag? And he's like, John Paul Gaultier.
Yeah.
But
it's like, where did you get that overnight bag?
Yeah. Another moment.
Which also, that is the biggest overnight bag.
It is. But also, it's giving, well, maybe he didn't actually kill somebody, and there was nothing that looks suspicious, so that's why nobody was like
saying anything.
Yeah. So I'm just like, huh. But also it could be that all these people are so fucking rotted that nobody cares or gives a fuck, or even is noticing that something horrible is happening, you know, because they're all like in their own delusional worlds, just caring about themselves.
Yeah.
So crazy. Anyways.
Very good little take.
Podcast over. But we also have him then arriving to the apartment, Paul's apartment, right? After he stole his keys, goes there and is trying to essentially make it look like Paul left town, went to London.
Sends him off to London. Yeah, he packs him up. He finds his suitcase, puts some shirts and stuff in it, toiletries, stuff like that, and then leaves an answering machine voicemail thingy-mabob.
Yeah.
And says like, hey, this is Paul Allen. I'm off to London. If this is Meredith, I love you, or something like that.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, why would Paul say that? But okay.
Yeah, I know. I was like, is that something he says a lot? I don't know.
No. And so that's whenever we have it being the next day already, or it might not even be the next day because we don't know how much time elapses. But we have Jean coming into the office to tell Patrick that
Donald Kimble is
here.
here.
Yes, the detective is there to talk to him.
Who is Willem Dafoe. And
he's investigating Paul Allen's disappearance, which isn't necessarily a disappearance per se, because there's not a lot of information just yet, but he's investigating because
his girlfriend Meredith thinks something's wrong.
Yes.
And doesn't think he would have just packed up and went to London.
And the family couldn't contact him either or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and then the whole time, Donald Kimble, I think I just refer to him as Kimble in the rest of my notes. Kimble sees right through him.
Yeah, most certainly. He can tell something's up. He gets this like vibe, especially because Patrick is not really playing it cool, and he's doing a lot wow, it's really cool how movies just like what Buffalo Bill was doing when he's asking Clarice all these questions about the investigation because he's trying to like kind of pull information on like
homicide been
how much
on it
how much
stuff.
do they know, you know?
Yeah.
Which is never a good idea.
No.
Like, you just got to stay quiet and just kind of figure
lay low
it out
and be like, I don't know anything.
That's it.
I've never heard of this person.
Don't know that woman. No.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What are these pictures of us together?
Never seen this woman in my life.
Did not have a podcast with her for 3 years. What are you talking about? And so that's he ends up what happens next? Trying to stretch this out.
Basically, I think we just flash back to him at home after he questions him a little bit.
And even like how Patrick's commenting on like it's so weird how someone can just like be here one day and then be gone, and even Kimble was like, yeah, it's eerie, isn't it? So I think a lot of that is what gives Kimble the like kind of ick of like, that's why I'm going to have an appointment with you again.
Yeah,
like, you know,
I'm going to keep investigating.
Otherwise, why would you make another appointment?
Yeah, exactly. And whenever we get home, he's watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yes.
While doing his 1,000 crunches. And he is doing them rather fast.
He's got a good form.
He was like,
those muscles were muscling.
I could never.
Yeah, I can't crunch all the way.
Like from the ground to fully sitting up?
Yeah. I still can't get there yet. My core is still weak. Not like fully there.
Yeah, mine probably can't do that no more.
But one day. And so we have, this is when he goes to pick up Christy.
Yep.
Which her name's not really Chrissy. He picks up a prostitute essentially, and then is like gets her in the car and is like, okay, whenever we get to where we are, and this is real like kind of he's trying to build like concoct some sort of like
life
plan, I guess, to like implicate Paul Allen, because he says, I am Paul Allen and you were Christy. So I guess he's trying to like do stuff to make it seem like Paul Allen was like a murderer, or pin all the murders on Paul Allen and then make it seem like he skipped town or something. I guess. And so she's going along with it, and they end up at Bateman's apartment. And then someone else shows up who is another girl, but he's going to call her Sabrina. But before this, I'm sorry, I did miss the part where he's making her wash up and all this in the tub.
Yeah. Yeah. He's making her, he's like,
clean her vagina.
Yeah. And he does it in a very like kind of
grotesque way, because he's like, get on
your knees and let me like see it from the back kind of thing.
Weird. Yeah.
And a little demeaning. But yep. And then Sabrina, quote unquote, shows up, and he's had specifically asked for a blonde on the phone. And whenever she gets there, he's like, you're more of a dirty blonde, not an actual blonde. And she was like, you could tell that her like hunches
her body language
were kind of, she was like,
it was uncomfortable. It's like, ooh, okay, asshole. Like, all right, cool. But anyways, she was beautiful. So he ends up putting her on the couch. And then that's whenever he asks, and then Christina comes in to join them, and he sits down, and immediately he's kind of like, well, don't y'all want to know what I do?
And both of them are like, no.
Yeah. I love how they were both like, no. And then Christy is like, well, you have a really nice place here. How much do you pay for it? And he's like, well, that's none of your goddamn business.
Yeah.
But I pay
a lot.
It's not cheap or something like that. And so it's real funny the way he's so he wants them to care, but only about specific things, and then in a certain way. Like, he's just so crazy. Like, it's just, he will never be satisfied.
Yeah.
And so that's whenever we have
him going on about Phil Collins.
Yes. The music.
And just so yet again, so I thought that he was about to kill them.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was kind of like what he did with Paul whenever he was going on about Huey Lewis and stuff. But now it's Phil Collins. And then they move to the bedroom.
They do, yes.
And he's like,
gets them to the bed.
Yeah. And he sits Chrissy. Is it Chrissy or Christy?
It's Christy is what I thought.
Yeah, I kind of felt like it changed. Or
it's Christy is what I wrote. But
yeah, I think I wrote Christy at the beginning, and then I wrote Chrissy at the end. So I wasn't sure. But Christy, we'll call her Christy.
Christy. Yamaguchi. Oh, no.
Christy, he sits her on the bed.
And then he tells her to take off her robe.
And then he makes Sabrina undress as well, and then dance.
Yes.
And then so she's like dancing in the corner just by herself, and
the most awkward dance ever.
Yeah. And then because that would be the most awkward situation ever.
It's true.
I would be like, what the fuck?
Like, can I have a prompt? Like, dance in what style? Contemporary, ballet, jazz, Fosse, like
what do you
hip-hop,
want from me? Am I doing the salsa?
Merengue. And Baliandic. And that's whenever we have him asking or telling, not asking, sorry. Oh, and also he's got a camera out at this point. He's recording them, and he tells Chrissy to get on all fours, and then he makes Sabrina eat her booty hole.
Yeah, he's like, don't just stare at it. Eat it. And I was like, oh, okay. And Sabrina's kind of like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And you don't actually like see it, but
she gets in there.
Yeah. And then they end up, it cuts to them having sex. Yeah.
Really rough sex. He's basically
this is the part where he's looking in the mirror at himself, pointing and flexing and doing all that.
He's not even really caring about them. They're literally just holes, and he's admiring himself.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of sad. And it's kind of grotesque to BH.
Yeah.
And then he's like, tells Christy to like smile at the camera or something like that.
Yeah.
And she's like, Woo! Yeah, literally.
And then he turns Sabrina's head to like, he like yanks her hair and kind of turns her head. And he's like, look at the camera. And he's really intense.
Very intense.
Throughout this whole thing.
Whole scene. It's all happening. And then we, cut to them being asleep in bed. But even as they're asleep, like, Christy accidentally puts her hand on his watch and he's like, don't touch the watch. And then he gets up and then he's like,
the girls are like, can we leave now? And he's like, yes.
We're not, no.
Oh, he says we're not done yet.
We're not done yet. And then he's got that door open with like a bunch of torture elements. And
he's got a wire hanger.
And then we just cut to them running out the door as he's giving them money and they're like, really
Chrissy like
traumatized.
Or Christy really takes the money out of his hand, like.
Yeah.
And then we find out later that she had to like almost have surgery.
Yeah.
So it's like, what the fuck did they do? You never know.
No idea. I feel like he put stuff up their areas.
Coat hanger.
Yeah, or something and like fucked with them.
Yeah.
Which is really sad. I feel like he tortured them. But then that's whenever we cut to the guys are all together. It's guy talk.
Having the no girl with a good personality.
Yeah, it's very locker room talk.
Yeah. They're at like a cigar lounge or something, like a whiskey bar.
Yeah.
Is what it felt like. And then the whole time, Patrick also like loves to quote serial killers.
Oh yeah,
because then he brings up Ed Gein in this moment, and he's like, "Do you know what Ed Gein said about women?" And they were like, "No, what? Who's Ed Gein?" And then he's like, "Oh well," he said, "It's like every time I see a woman, I imagine like how beautiful she is and how I would want to like wine and dine her and just be with her kind of thing. And then I also imagine," and he pauses after that and they're like, "Well, what's the second thing?" And he's like, "I imagine what her head would look like on a stick."
Yeah.
And then he just laughs.
And everybody just kind of like.
And everyone's like,
yeah. Which happens kind of a few times. And then that's whenever we have Lou popping up and he's like, "Hey, since everybody, wanted to get new business cards, I decided to get a new business card too." And he shows them all. And it's honestly a nice looking business card.
It looked pretty identical to Patrick's.
Yeah. But with like a gold inflection to it on the lettering.
Yeah. It looked red too.
Is that what it was?
Red, like a reddish.
Something
kind of
was on
gold.
it. It was different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Copper, maybe then?
Maybe, yeah.
Bateman, it sends Bateman on a kind of like a what's the word? Like a tantrum, like a breaks him almost. Rampage because even like it happened so fast because Lou walks away, I guess goes to the restroom, and then that's whenever like they're like, "Are you okay, Bateman?" And he just kind of gets up, and then we find him in the restroom behind.
And he's put his gloves on, and we've seen Lou.
Yeah.
He's put his gloves on, which we've seen that he does every time he's about to kill someone. And he walks up behind him and he puts his hands around his throat, but doesn't actually act on it.
Well, and then Lou turns around so fast.
Yeah.
And I'm imagining his pee-pee is still out.
Just flopping around.
Oh, and like imagining he probably peed on him a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's like once the stream is going, it's kind of hard to like
stop it.
I mean, you can, but it takes like a second. So I just imagine like, but
maybe
yeah,
a little bit.
and then they're like, and then Lou kisses his wrist so ever softly,
delicately.
Yeah, and it's just like, "Oh, this whole time, like I knew you wanted me. I've been watching you. Why are you sweating?" And then it turns into kind of like Bateman walking to go wash his gloves and he's freaking out a little bit and then he's going to leave. And I love how he uses this excuse a lot of the times where they're like, "Where are you going?" And he's like, I gotta go
return videotapes.
I gotta return some videotapes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's his excuse for basically everything.
Yeah, it
and
is.
It's like...
And he walks out and he ends up bumping into people. You can tell he's definitely disheveled. Lou is like, "Call me." And then he ends up walking out. And then this is whenever he ends up, I think we have Detective Kimble coming back.
Yeah, we're back to Mr. Kimble asking basically for his alibi and saying like, "What did you do? What were you doing on the night of December 20th or whatever it was?"
The disappearance of.
Yeah, Paul Allen.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, I was Like he didn't. He comes up with different excuses every time.
Remember. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's really like kind of a scary moment for him whenever Mr. Kimble brings up the CD and it's Huey Lewis in the News.
And he's like, coincidentally, I just bought it on the way here. Like, have you heard of them?
And he's like, nope, never heard of them.
I don't like it. Yeah. He goes as far to being like, oh, I don't like singers or something like that. Yeah.
And
which also
clearly is a lie.
Yeah. And then it's really like spooky ooky that he's mentioning this, right? Because at this moment too, even, Bateman is like, oh shit, like, is he about to drop some sauce on me or like what? Like, what is this? Yeah. But he's just like, no, it's, I like it. So it's either one of the world's like,
I feel like he's a figment of his imagination.
Ooh.
Almost.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, I mean, Gene does introduce him, but it could have all been that one episode.
Time. Or it could have been that one time because Gene introduces him that one time. And it's just him. Yes, exactly.
Because the whole time
he never interacts with Gene again.
Yeah. And later on, whenever they're at the restaurant having dinner.
Yeah.
And he's like, it would be really weird for someone to just kill their friend, wouldn't it? And then he kind of laughs. And it's like, he's spot on.
Yeah.
The whole time.
That's interesting. Yeah.
And maybe it's just a guilty, like,
conscience
that's making him.
It's like torturing himself, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For this situation that he imagined or didn't imagine. Because, of course, we don't really know whether or not he actually killed Paul Allen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that all makes sense. I feel like that explains a lot because like we said, Kimble isn't really heavy in this film. And for someone to be missing and then for someone to maybe possibly even be dead, it's like, well, Kimble's the only person who cares. You know what I mean? Like there's no other people or no other kind of inclination of a real investigation even going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you think, especially whenever he brings them back to Paul Allen's apartment the next time, you would think that place would be like police lockdown.
Yeah, exactly. Like stuff up.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
So maybe,
that makes sense. Or on guard or being surveillanced, watched by a police guard on duty at all times to see if like Paul Allen returns. I don't know. But
exactly.
We have all that happening with him. And then we cut to him because I guess he was triggered with all of this. He's having sex with Courtney.
Yep.
And they're going at it. And then it cuts to
them at a club. Doing coke in the bathroom.
Yes. With the guy who is having an affair with Evelyn. And then he's like being really rude to another guy. And he's just like, hey, can you keep it quiet? I'm trying to do drugs over here. And then that's whenever we end up having them
he's like,
meeting some girls.
What does he call him? He calls him something. Oh,
I think
he says the F word.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
He does, doesn't he?
He says the F word that hurts my soul.
Yeah.
It makes me cry inside.
Yeah.
He says faggot. And so then that's whenever we have them meeting some blonde bimbos in the couch. Well, they're not actually bimbos. They're models. And one of them is like, you think I'm dumb, huh? Later on. But she's really smart. And this is whenever she is asking him, like, what do you do? And I love that he's like, oh, I'm into murders and executions. And she's like, oh, mergers and acquisitions.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, that's actually really smart. That's clever writing. Clever writing.
It was.
But yeah. And once again, it's one of those moments where he's just like blatantly telling people like, what the fuck he's doing, and
everyone just glosses right over it.
Nobody's paying attention at all.
Yeah.
And they're kind of talking for a while, and then we cut to them being outside, like they're heading out, leaving, and she's having that conversation about like, you think I'm dumb, but I'm not. And then she gets in the car with him, and that's the last we see of her.
Yep. Until
she's dead.
Until she's freezer. Dead. And yep.
Oh, and then it's the next day.
Her little hair.
And get the hair. Yeah.
And he's doing a crossword puzzle and filling it only with the words bone and meat.
Yeah.
And and
I'm sure some other ones.
Gene comes in. Yeah. And Gene comes in. She's like, oh, are you doing a crossword puzzle? Do you want me to help? Yeah. And he was like, no.
Yeah. And then he asked her out to dinner, which is a really weird, like, character. Like, he just changes out of nowhere and is just like, I'm going to ask you to dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can tell the whole film that she's got something for him.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like she likes one of the ones pining after him. Because like earlier in the film, she's like, "You look really nice today."
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And
she's definitely given like those vibes of like almost like someone who's maybe sheltered or something like that. And is a little naive and like just she's so attracted to him, but she doesn't. Well, and she even mentions later she has this thing for like going for unavailable men, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, she definitely is like flirty with him in a way. But not overtly at all.
No. Yeah, it's very subtle. You can tell she gets a little
like a
flustered whenever, he asks her to dinner. She's like, "Oh, what?" And so she gets a little, tongue-tied and stuff. And then, of course, again, he tells her, he's like, "Change before you come."
Yeah, he's told her like twice. Once
Yeah.
it's kind of more at the beginning and then at the end.
Yeah, because he was like, "Oh, that outfit," and then he was like, "Change before you come." Even though she was wearing a skirt
Yeah,
and stuff,
it wasn't good enough.
it wasn't. Yeah, I guess sexy
But I mean,
enough.
that makes sense. So it's a nighttime dinner, though. Like you wouldn't
Yeah.
wear what you're wearing to the office to dinner. Like, would you?
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on the outfit. Like, obviously, if you dress for
It
both,
depends, yeah.
yeah, then that makes sense. But like, it felt like that was more corporate, of course. Whereas, like, they were going to a fancy dinner. I'm not gonna say that I agree with Patrick Bateman, but I will say I agree with like, yeah, I would have
Should
changed
change.
for dinner.
Yeah.
So there's that. But and he's asking her like, where do you want to go? And she's like, I don't want to
Dorsal
pick.
fin.
But she's like, dorsal fin. And he's like, dorsal puff. And she's like, yes, dorsal duff. And so that's whenever he's like, okay, I'll get it. And he calls and then he's like, hey, can I get a reservation for 9? And the dude's like, no. And he's like, great, 9. And the dude's like, no. And the dude's like, great, see you at 9. Hang up.
And
Click.
then she's like, "You didn't give him the name." And
He's
he
like,
was like, "Oh,
"I
they
know
know
who I
me
am."
there."
Yeah. And so that's whenever
And
he's
she's
like,
just like,
and
okay.
then he's like, meet me at 7, even though the dinner's at 9. I'm like, it's a really long pregame, but okay.
Yeah, meet at 7 for drinks.
Yeah.
And then,
If you're meeting at 7 for drinks, how are you going to make it to dinner at 9?
yeah, I would be,
Sloshed.
yeah, very drunk.
Because I do not know how to. Well, I think I can do better, but I feel like I would just like get drunk, But anyways, we have.
I would be Courtney falling asleep at the table.
Yeah. And so that's whenever we have him talking to her. She's at his house. He opens up the freezer to get her some sorbet, and we see the head in there.
Yep.
She does actually look really nice. She looks really pretty in the dress.
Oh,
Not the
Jean.
head.
I thought you meant the head.
No.
I was like, I guess.
No, Jean does. She looks really pretty in her
Yeah,
hair.
she
and
does.
She's dressed, and Chloë Sevigny looks so young. I was like, dang.
Yeah, little wee pappy.
And so then we have.
They all did. Willem Dafoe looks so young,
oh,
too.
he did. Yeah, most definitely. Josh Lucas, Reese Witherspoon, hella young. Yeah. And
she looked like a baby.
And then that's whenever we have. I was like in my like head, I'm like, oh no, my God, he's gonna kill her and then I'm like, how are you gonna kill your like secretary? Like you need her. Yeah, and that's like so like obvious. Like that's so like now your secretary's gone missing. Like what?
Yeah, these people around you just keep going missing. It's one thing if it's random people,
but not
like sex workers,
people who are
stuff.
specifically correlated to him. Yeah. And then so
not that it's okay to kill sex workers.
Not at all.
That made it sound.
How dare
that
you.
is not what I meant.
And so we have
but they wouldn't be connected to him.
No, exactly.
Overtly. So yeah.
And so we have him then like going around his apartment kind of looking at different tools to murder someone as he's asking her questions and then having kind of this genuine conversation.
Picking up little knives. And then he brings up facts about Ted Bundy.
Yeah, which
and
is
he's
another
like, did you know
killer.
that Ted Bundy's dog was named Lassie? A collie named Lassie?
And then
which is just like Lassie the movie.
Yeah, exactly. And then also, but then she's like, well, who's Ted Bundy? So, and he's like, oh, never mind. But that's whenever he then ends up getting some duct tape.
How do you not know Ted Bundy?
I don't know, especially in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe because, because it's only the 80s and I guess it was still fresh. And maybe because culture hadn't like, we're now in a culture now where we like glorify and like look up at like serial killers and like not look up, but you know what I mean? Like there's so many documentaries, so many films, so many
true
podcasts,
crime has become
so many things that back then I don't think people like were necessarily as exposed to, I guess, all of that. But
I feel like Ted Bundy is one of the most, that was a
like
nationwide case.
Yeah. But maybe she grew up in a place where like she wasn't exposed.
She was sheltered.
Yeah, maybe. And then we have him getting the duct tape, right? And then that's whenever he's like it's very much like, I guess because of their conversation is making it humanize her, I guess, or he's feeling close to her. I don't know. Right now, he's going back and forth from getting the duct tape. And then thankfully for her, he gets like a nail gun?
Yeah, it was a nail gun.
Yeah, and he gets all the way behind her, and it's like he's almost going to kill her. But then he gets a voicemail from Evelyn, and it really stops him in his tracks. And she's being like, she's talking about like, I hope you're not with some whatever, and remember you're my guy, and all these things, and trying to remind him of something that I guess they have to go to in the future. And it stops him from hurting Jean. And then Jean is like, oh, are you still seeing her? Like, what's going on? And then he's like, you know what? I think you should go because I don't want to hurt you. And
he makes it sound as if like something bad will happen. Like he could hurt her emotionally, but he was meaning physically. But she was taking it as like, oh, I don't want to get bruised emotionally.
Yeah.
And then also what made him stop in his tracks and like humanized her is she asked him if he ever wanted to make someone happy.
Oh, that's true.
And then he was holding the nail gun to her head as he answered. And then, that's when Evelyn called. But yeah, so that she is like, okay, right, you're right, I should leave. And so she gets up and she leaves, and thankfully her life is spared because of this.
Yes.
So that was a good thing for Miss Jean.
And then we cut to lunch with Mr. Detective Kimble.
Yep. Now we're with Kimble, and he...
Kimble? My bad. Not Kimble.
Yeah, it's Kimble.
Kimble. Yep. And he's telling him about Marcus's alibi.
Yes. And also, Patrick put so much salt on his food.
Oh, did he? I didn't
He picked up the salt shaker and was just like... and then sets it down, and I was like,
seems
every
like a serial killer
shake that came after, I was like,
Jesus Christ, man,
your salt.
What is
like,
that?
I love salt.
What does that raise up? Your cholesterol, or is it something else? Your blood pressure? It raises something. I know it does. That's okay.
I don't know.
Someone just send
I'm
us
sure
a
my
message.
doctor will
Whoever's
tell
a
me.
nurse, let us know in our DMs, please.
I can't wait to go to my doctor's going to go, you're getting fat.
No, stop.
That's what he tells me.
Change your doctor.
Well, I like long, baby.
Oh, well, I mean,
except for when he's mean to me. Sometimes he's mean to me.
I guess if you need it. Is that tough love?
No, I don't like it.
Oh, okay.
It makes me feel really bad about myself.
Well, I don't think someone should be calling you fat, but that's, I guess, not. I'm not your healthcare provider, but yeah.
That's
sometimes you can like things that aren't good for you.
Yeah.
So there's also that.
Didn't realize my volume was on.
It's a long baby right now. And so
texting, you're fat.
You're fat, literally. Fat bitch. You got an appointment this Tuesday.
Don't forget. I'm going to weigh you and I'm going to make you look at the scale.
Oh God. Sends you like pictures of like just
this is your weight over time.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
But this is whenever he's getting all this information, putting salt on his food, and he's also not making himself look great because once again he cannot produce an alibi for himself of what he was doing on that night, even
and
though
he openly admits like, oh, I forgot.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. And then this is what at this point Gimble's now even throwing him another line of being like, well, we'll meet again, and if you could please, pinpoint where you were, that'd be great. And, yeah. And so,
and then this is where Kimble says, like, it would be really weird of someone to just up and kill their kill their friend. Mm-hmm. Like that would be crazy, wouldn't it? And then he laughs, and Patrick's just like,
awkward.
Yeah, it would be really weird, super weird.
Mm-hmm. And after this moment with Kimble, he ends up trying to pick up Christy again.
Yep, he picks her up and she's like, no way, Jose.
This is when she says what you said earlier.
Yeah, that she needed or almost needed surgery after the last time. And he like hands her some money. And so she gets in and then he's like, here, let me write you a check.
Yeah.
And he goes to hand it to her and she's like, she takes it and runs. And then he pulls up next to her and he's got just this wad of cash that he's holding out the window, and obviously it entices her because this is her livelihood. And she's like,
draws her back in.
Yeah. She's like, okay. And then he's like, she goes to take the cash and he's like, you can have half now and you can have half later, kind of thing. And then they get back to now Paul's apartment.
Yes.
And he's brought yet another woman.
Yes. But she knows that he's Patrick, though.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a weird. I'm like, how is this going to work, Patrick, if you think that this is.
If Christine thinks you're Paul.
That she thinks you're Patrick. But I guess you're going to kill this girl anyway, so it doesn't matter. But anyways, yes. He tells her, and they end up there. Elizabeth is, having conversation with them, but then he tells them like, I just want to watch y'all, do it.
Get it on.
Essentially.
And he drugged the wine.
And he's drugging the wine. So essentially he gets them drunky enough to where they're like rolling around together and he's just watching while he's talking about Whitney Houston at this point.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He's going on about Whitney Houston. Yeah. And they're like, you own a Whitney Houston CD?
Yeah.
And he's like,
the catalog. He owns like all of them, I guess. Yeah. And so then that's whenever he is it cuts to them having sex again in the bedroom. And then that's whenever Christy's just kind of on the side and he's going at it with Elizabeth so much so that blood starts coming out. I don't know if he's like biting her at this point or like
I think he was
instrument. I don't know.
Yeah, might have had an instrument or something. There was blood on his mouth.
Oh, yeah.
So
for sure.
He definitely bit something or got the blood on him.
On the sheets as well. And then, Christy takes that as her, I'm going to get the fuck out of here moment.
I love how she just was like so over the sex in general before the blood even started.
Oh, yeah. She was just about to walk out.
Yeah, she was just like, I'm not really in this situation right now, so I'm just going to leave.
Slip out.
I'll see myself out. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah.
And then she starts seeing the blood when she realizes Elizabeth is screaming, not in screams of pleasure. Yeah. But rather of torture and horror. So, Christy goes to leave and she starts running. But as she's running throughout the house, she opens doors and finds other bodies throughout the house. And she sees two like hanging like on coat hooks. Yeah. She sees some like in a bathtub or something. And what does it say? Die pig scum or something like on the wall?
I couldn't make out, honestly. It happened so fast too. But she's finding all of these things, right? And horror and shock as that's going on. And then also just a huge apartment, I guess.
Yeah.
There's so many like areas for her to go into. And then eventually
she did say, this apartment's nicer than your last one. He's like, it's not that much nicer.
Yeah. Because
he already had an like superior or inferior like kind of complex whenever he
was there
earlier. Yeah. And he was like, I already noticed that his apartment overlooks the park,
which means it's more expensive than mine.
Yeah. And so he got upset about that.
And she ends up being able to get out of the apartment and he ends up chasing her out with a chainsaw. And nobody is waking up. Nobody's heeding to her crying screams as she's banging on doors and running through the area. Bloody murder. She's the scream queen. She ends up getting down the stairs, but he's at the top and he holds that chainsaw and somehow he manages to be able to get it to where he drops
pendulum swings it around and then drops it right as she enters the last level of the floor and is going underneath and has to go like out into the middle. And he drops it and it lands on her.
Cuts her up.
Yep. And drops it. Yep, the chainsaw's dropped on her, and then we just flashed to him drawing it on the tablecloth.
Next to Evelyn.
Which makes me think that, maybe he did imagine all of this, and it was all in his doodles. Mm-hmm. And because like in the book at the end, and that this was just something he imagined. Yeah. And I don't know. I don't know what to believe.
He's talking to Evelyn, and at this point, once again, he mentions how all he can do is want to take out his impulses and stuff.
My homicidal tendencies.
And she's not paying attention to what he's saying, and then it culminates into him breaking up with her. Yeah, and she is like, "What?" And she has this moment where she's making a scene at the table, and of course to get a ruse out of the situation. And then he is just like, you know what? I'm going to leave. I'm going. Could you not? And he does.
And this is how we got Legally Blonde.
Yes, I was about to say. Because I was like, the same thing happens to her in Legally Blonde. Yep. Poor thing gets dumped at nice dinners. And so then we have him leaving, and he's at the ATM, and this is whenever...
And again, he had to return some videotapes.
Oh, he had to return some videotapes.
She was like, where are you going? And he was like, I have to return some videotapes. And I was like, it's always I have to return some videotapes with him.
It was the 80s. You had to.
Yeah.
Or you get charged.
That's true.
And so then we're at the ATM, and this is when, it tells him to feed him a kitty?
Yeah, he's there at the ATM, and then as soon as I heard the cat meow, I was like, "Oh no!"
Yeah, the ATM tells him to feed it to him,
says,
though, so
feed
it's
me
not
a stray cat.
It's
or
not
something.
his fault.
Yeah, he's just following orders,
and he tries. And then there's an old lady who's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And then he's like, "Bam!" Which also, where'd he get the gun? But anyways,
I guess he just had it on him.
He shoots her. He's always carrying. He's strapped. And then we see some cops that are finally like, what was that? And they turn the lights on. And so he starts running. And then...
Is it bad that as soon as he shot the lady, I was like, oh, thank God.
Why?
Because he didn't kill the cat.
Oh, I guess so. No, it's not bad.
Poor old lady.
I wouldn't say that's bad. I would just say that...
Obviously, I don't want real people to die. But I was like, course. Not the
but
cat.
If it was a cat or a human, I mean, obviously, the cat is innocent and the human is not.
Yeah.
No innocent is human. I mean,
no human is innocent.
That also makes sense, though. No innocent is human.
Yeah.
And so we then have him running off. He's getting the car alarms to go off on all these other cars, which essentially I think he's to make a diversion. But then he goes on the other side of the street.
Oh, I thought he was just being really dumb and trying to get into all these cars to make an escape.
Honestly, I think he could be that dumb.
Yeah.
But I don't know. He also then ran to the other side. So I was like, maybe it is a diversion that he's trying to make. But he gets all the way on the other side. But then we have these cops going to the end of the alley. And then it's a shootout.
Yep,
Shootouts with the law. Like I live in the palace.
With the police. And it's just like in all the cop movies.
Yeah. And
nice
then
little shootout.
It's bang, bang. He shot me down. Bang, bang. And then his gun turns into a bazooka because then everything blows up.
Yeah.
Which he's like...
I was confused.
What the hell?
Yeah.
It gave Harry the Mask.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that. Mm-hmm. I think I was writing notes whenever the gun turned into the bazooka and I looked up to see the explosion. So I just thought his bullet hit like a gas tank or something.
No, I mean, no, it didn't turn into a bazooka. I'm not it didn't actually turn into one. I'm just saying somehow
he blew them up.
It made this big ass explosion as if it was a grenade or something. Yeah. I don't know.
I think he must have hit some sort of gas tank or something that made it explode. Mm-hmm. That was what I was like, I guess that's what happened. I don't know. Because my notes just say, has shootout with the police, blows him up and then runs off.
He does run off. He does do that. And then it's like he ends up getting to the office and then shoots the bodyguard.
Kills the front desk guy. And then he's going and out the back door. Yeah. And then
kills the janitor.
Yeah. The janitor just happens to get off the elevator. And then he's like, well, you're dead too.
But then goes to another building?
Yeah.
Was that not his building?
No, I guess not.
That's why I was confused.
Because didn't he call him a different name?
Yeah, I don't remember what he called him, but I just thought it was really weird that he goes into one building and then he's kills him, but then he goes into the other one and actually signs in
and doesn't kill the guy.
Yeah, so I was like, huh. And it is his office because he goes up to
his office.
So I was really confused by well, what was that about? But okay.
I thought that maybe he could have been going to Paul's apartment at the first time, possibly.
Oh.
I don't know. I'm not really sure what it was, but it was weird. He gets to his office. There's helicopters shining their lights through the window, going all around, and he is panicking majorly. So then he gets on the phone with his lawyer, gets sent a voicemail, and this is where his acting was like top tier.
And he's confessing all of his sins.
Yeah. And just the way that he is, I don't know, just his facial expressions and the way that he's delivering the lines. It was so good.
Like he's sweating. He's got like all of this, like he's talking where it's like he's spitting, you know,
He
like
looked
he's
like-
just like, I killed 20, 40 maybe,
20,
you know?
yeah. He said, he's like, I can't even remember all of them.
Yeah.
And then he
What's going
confesses to
on?
eating some of them. And then he's like,
Cooking the
yeah,
brains or
I
something
guess
like
I'm
that?
a pretty sick guy.
Yeah.
And the way that he said that line in particular was what I was like, this is good.
Yeah.
This is real good. But yeah, he said he ate some of their brains and that he like tried cooking other parts of them. And it didn't seem like he liked eating them.
No. It seemed, well, it
kind
didn't
of
seem
was just like-
remorseful, but it seemed like he knows he's fucked up, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But he's still doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we get a shot of the Twin Towers because it was 2000.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. I was like, oh, right.
Yeah. Those
This
were there
didn't
at one
happen
point.
till 2001.
That's true.
Yep.
And then we have him. It's
Yeah.
the
So
next
this
day,
was in New York.
Yeah. That makes sense then. Yeah. And then it's the next day and nothing has happened.
Yep. And he's doing his morning routine again.
Get ready
We're
with
having
me.
another get ready with me.
Yeah.
And then he drops by Paul's apartment and he puts a mask on and stuff because I'm guessing he's anticipating like the smell
Yeah.
or something. And he gets in there and all the bodies are gone and everything's been painted over. The house is empty and there's actually a realtor there showing it to other individuals. And the realtor comes and finds him looking in the closet where those two bodies were hanging. And she's like, excuse me, what are you doing here? And
Yeah.
he's just like,
Where's
and
Paul
she's like, are
Allen?
you my 2 o'clock? And he was like, no. And then, and then she pulls one over on him and is like, oh, did you see the ad in the Times? And he was like, no. And then he was like, yes, actually, I did see the ad in the Times. And she was like, there was no ad in the Times.
Yeah.
And
Get
I
out
was
of here,
like-
you fucking liar.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, shit. She got him.
Especially, and then she also said, like, a Paul Allen never lived there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, was Paul Allen all figment of his imagination, too?
see. And so then
Could have been.
I love how she's like, don't ever come here again. I don't want trouble. And he's like, don't worry, I won't. And then he walks out. And then that's whenever he calls Jean from a payphone and he's like, I'm losing it. And she's
he kinda
like,
goes off on her,
he
too.
does- well, he's being a dick to her.
Yeah.
And then she just kind of takes it. And then even though he tells her like, no, I'm not going to meet the guys, he ends up meeting the guys at this bar that they're at and just kind of walks in and he's trying to play off like cool, calm, and collected as usual. And then
at this point in time, too, Jean is prompted to go into his office and she finds that ledger.
yeah.
And we don't see what is in it quite yet, but we do see her pulling it out of the desk.
She's going to open it up and look through it. But we get back to him, and that's whenever he sees his lawyer, and he goes to his lawyer, and he's like, you know, hey, you get my voicemail?
And he was like, yeah, funny joke. Haha.
And he also thinks that he's Davis.
Yep. Thinks he's someone else.
Yeah, so it's like a lot of this movie is like people getting mixed up. So what if he did kill someone who wasn't Paul Allen, who we thought was Paul Allen?
Yeah.
That could be a situation too.
That could be.
And so he's like going, you know, Bateman is like, you know, I'm losing my mind. Like, what do you mean? Like, he's because this lawyer is acting like it was a joke and nothing's wrong, right? And he's like, hey, no, I'm serious. And he's like, this is not funny, and I don't like this anymore because I had lunch with Paul Allen twice in London 10 days ago.
10 days ago, yeah.
Yeah.
And then he just kind of walks off after that. And then this is where we flash back to Miss Jean looking through the ledger, and it's just filled with these doodles that are horrific.
Yeah, of like women getting dismembered and like a lot of violence towards women specifically. There's not any violence happening towards men.
Yeah.
No.
But there is like a drawing of like a penis in a mouth or something of like looked like a decapitated kind of head thing. Like,
yeah, I could see that, him doing that.
Very graphic imagery that happens. And then he just kind of goes back to the table and he's kind of like losing it at some points.
Yeah.
Like he's just like, he does that little finger gun thing and says like, let's rock or something like that. And it's just very like, whoa, dude.
Yeah.
And then he just goes back to calmly drinking his drink and he's just
having that inner monologue moment.
Yeah. And then he says he surpassed all his like utter indifference towards the mayhem he has caused. And he says I want my pain to be inflicted on others kind of things.
I want
and
them to feel everything that I feel, essentially.
Yeah. And says like, this confession has meant nothing. And then it zooms in on his eyes as it says, this confession has meant nothing.
Yeah.
And we roll credits.
To the end of the film.
Yep. This is a wild ride.
Yeah. That is 2000's American Psycho. That's heavy duty.
It is.
Yeah, it looked heavy. And so, it leaves us off on this note of like, did it not? What happened? What's gonna happen? Like, does that mean that he's getting off scotch-free? Like, I think
that no one cared, and
a lot of questions, and I think the movie is left for the viewer to be more kind of introspective, because like we said, there are so many ways that this movie could be interpreted, and there are moments in the film where I'm kind of like watching it, I felt like, well, this seems a bit exaggerated. This seems like an over grotesque kind of like, this just seems like kind of, especially in the moments when he's like watching the porn and like having the conversation with Courtney on
just
the phone.
so nonchalant.
Yeah.
Like, and because he's like holding the porn tape in his hand and is like
having like a conversation with her, but then that's in the background. And then it just kind of, and then later on too, I guess when he's
it's like when I read my BLs, my boy loves in public, and I'm just like watching like a very graphic like sex scene and reading it. And then
happen often, Caitlin.
It does.
Okay. Well,
and then I'm just having to be like,
you know what? Never mind.
Nothing is going on.
But a lot of those moments, I kind of felt like, are people like, would anybody actually be like this? You know what I mean? Like, would anybody even be like this? Like, it kind of felt a bit like, overkill at some points. But then I get it, because the depiction of like, the American Psycho, and especially in what the context of like the culture of what these people live in, because it's like they're like what, like that really like, it gives like Wolf on Wall Street, you know what I mean? Like these people who are just like, all they care about is money, status, the next thing, they're all trying to one up each other, so like it's like making you think of like the culture in a sense of like, well, are they also fucked up that, like we said earlier, they just don't care, or they don't see anything wrong happening because they don't think it's wrong, or like they just don't care because these people are beneath them anyway, so it's like not their problem. Or is it like that he is genuinely just crazy? Was he crazy before the fact, or is he going crazy because he is a product of all of these things? Or is it, like there's so many ways that you can look at it. And he did kill all those people, and somehow there's a conspiracy theory that he is getting away with it because Daddy's cleaning it up.
Yeah. Can see that.
Yeah. I don't know. Evelyn did it.
Evelyn
committed all the murders. Yep. And actually she's been drugging him, and he's been losing his mind because they've been putting lithium in his workout protein drinks. I don't know. You have any fun facts?
I do. I also have a goof.
What's a goof?
You said this last time.
I'm sorry. What's a goof? I forgot.
It's when the film messes up on something.
That's right. Okay.
But,
can we call it a doof?
a doof. Let's see. At around 31 minutes, when Bateman leaves the message on Paul Allen's voicemail, he ends it saying, "Hasta la vista, baby." And then Bateman was quoting the ending of Looking for a New Love, which is a song by American dance pop singer Jody Watley. It was released in January 1987 and reached number 2 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100 in May 1987 and spent 4 weeks at number 1 on the U.S. Billboard R&B charts. Bateman was not quoting Arnold Schwarzenegger's catchphrase from Terminator 2, which was released in 1991. So I don't really get how that's a goof, but I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
I was thinking
like
the
a mess
ending
up.
of it was going to be that they like
switched.
that the song hadn't actually been released yet in relation to this time period.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it was already out.
Yeah.
That's kind of like saying like your project looks like this project, but that project as well. But that, I don't know that. Okay, sure. Yeah, I get it.
Confused.
Yeah.
During production, Christian Bale followed the morning routine that his character Patrick Bateman describes toward the beginning of the film.
Wow.
So I guess he did
believe it.
1,000 crunches.
I believe it.
I would die. My stomach could never. Looking for a way to create the character of Patrick Bateman, Christian Bale stumbled onto a Tom Cruise appearance on The Late Show with David Letterman in 1993. According to co-writer and director Mary Herron, Bale saw in Cruise this very intense friendliness with nothing behind the eyes, which is like, especially when you think of Tom Cruise's freak out too.
Yeah.
I can definitely see that.
Well, Tom Cruise is a Scientologist, so
Yeah,
he's probably a lizard person.
probably.
Yeah.
And then let's see. And interestingly, Tom Cruise is actually featured in the novel. He lives in the same apartment complex as Bateman, who meets him in an elevator and gets the name of Cocktail wrong, calling it Bartender.
Oh,
1988 was Cocktail. I guess that's a movie.
I guess so.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
During the shooting scene of the film, Christian Bale spoke in an American accent offset at all times. At the wrap party, when he began to speak in his native British accent, many of the crew thought he was speaking that way as an accent for another film. They thought he was American throughout the entire shoot. He was that convincing.
That's good. That's good. I always forget that he's not American as well.
Yeah, I thought he was American.
No, he's not.
I had no clue.
I always forget that. Yeah.
The single biggest cost of the film was purchasing the rights to the various songs used throughout.
Oh, yeah.
I could see that. Yeah, because there were some hit songs.
Hit be square.
And
Dun, dun, dun,
Phil
dun.
Collins.
Don't.
And use name
Whitney.
dropping all the Phil Collins songs too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And Whitney. And then the film had various problems with designer labels during production.
Oh.
Cerruti or Cerruti?
I have no idea.
I have never heard of this brand, which is probably not good on me as a fashion major, but agreed to allow Christian Bale to wear their clothes, but not when the character was killing anyone. Rolex agreed that anyone in the film could wear their watches except Bateman. Hence the famous line from the book, "Don't touch the Rolex," had to be changed to "Don't touch the watch." Perry Ellis provided underwear at the last minute after Calvin Klein pulled out of the project, and Comme des Garçons refused to allow one of their overnight bags to be used to carry a corpse. So Jean-Paul Gaultier was used instead. I know all those names, but I just couldn't say them.
It's okay.
There's 50 more fun facts, but we're not going to read all of them.
It's a lot
That's
of fun
just
facts.
interesting that there's so many of them.
Why are there so many fun
Normally
facts?
it's like
4 or 5,
more.
right?
Yeah. Normally there are more, but it just says more. And this
okay.
one says 50 more.
50 more.
So there's lots of fun
specifically.
facts about this film. These are just the most popular
Yeah.
that I read from the top of the IMDb website because I get all of my fun facts from IMDb.
IMDb's.
Yep.
That's it. Support us.
But yeah, that's fun facts. So what's your boo rating for 2000's American Psycho?
1897's
1897.
American Psycho. I think
15.
that definitely after talking about the movie, I appreciated it a little bit more.
Yeah.
When I was first watching it yesterday, I felt a bit like, at times, like I was like, well, this seems like over exaggeration ish. But then also I was like, man, all these people are so shitty. Like, I don't like any of these characters. Like, they're all crappy people.
Yeah.
And then I guess I couldn't relate because I'm not a person who's generally motivated by money, which sounds really kind of unambitious, but like,
I'm a Capricorn, so I am.
Okay. Yeah. But it just felt like, yeah, you know, when you watch something, you're like, rich people problems, it must be nice. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's all. But other than that, like, it was pretty good. Like, acting wise, Christian Bale carried the movie because, I mean, he was literally the main part of the whole movie.
Yeah. Everything revolved around
everything
him.
was definitely else like side characters. It was cool to see like a bunch of like stars in the film. Willem Dafoe did pretty cool, even though he was only in there for like bits, probably like not even more than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. And also I didn't like how there wasn't necessarily any resolution with the detectives part of that situation. Like, it's just kind of like,
it just ended.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I think.
Why we're just kind of like, what?
Why he might be a figment.
Who? And then, yeah, overall, it was a pretty cool film. I'd say psychologically, it has a lot like of commentary to say about, I don't know, what is that?
The human psyche.
The human psyche and like that corporate America, not corporate, but like, you know, a rich Wall Street corporate America. I don't know. The climate and all that, and especially I guess the 80s and how we got to see how like they're all like they were just wanting to do coke and they're just all like at the club and like everything was all about the reservation and like the status and all that. I think that overall though, I'm a bit like, for some reason I want more closure, if that makes sense. But also I respect that it's left to be what it is, so it's kind of like, do I knock it for not giving me something, or do I kind of accept it for what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm the latter.
I
kind of like how in the dark it left us, because then it allows you to come up with so many theories
on like what or how it was what happened.
It really allows the imagination to kind of run wild and run loose, which I think is the whole point of the film, because his imagination's running wild and
it's true
crazy. Or is it? Did he really do it all? We don't know.
Will we ever know?
No.
Why can't we know?
They said Josh must never know.
Never.
That was in the fun facts.
Oh man, this fun fact number 29. I'm gonna say that I will give this film a 3.68. A 3.68.
Okay.
A 3.68. A 3.69.
There we go.
3.69. Yeah,
fitting.
3.69. I think. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a good film, but for some reason, I was left wanting a bit more. I don't know what even that more is, but I kind of feel like I wanted more, if that makes sense.
That's fair.
Or maybe even like, no, I don't know. A lot of this movie too had like restraint in showing us like we never really got to see like murders per se. Everything happened off screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Right. So maybe that was just it. Maybe,
it was condemned for being too graphic.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. They had to cut down a lot as well. From what I heard, but yeah, I'll give it a 3.69, and you give your rating, and if it's a really good one, then that's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
To me, this whole film was like a fever dream. The whole time I was watching it, I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And I really still don't know what was going on, because it doesn't allow you to know. But I did like the fact that it left you in the dark, and it allows you again to kind of speculate and come up with all these different ideas of what you think possibly could have happened. I do really appreciate that bit.
Yeah.
Christian Bale's acting was top tier. I think it's maybe some of the best acting I think I've ever seen. I was like absolutely enthralled. I loved it. I thought he did a phenomenal job.
He captured the crazy.
He did. And boy, did he do it well. And so that alone makes me want to give it a higher boo rating just because his acting was so stupid good. He did such an amazing job. Even in the moments where he was acting like a bad actor, like whenever he was talking with Kimble and stuff and not really covering his tracks well, he did a really good job of portraying that. Which I thought was super impressive. I think it's always impressive when people can act like a bad actor.
The range.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
And yeah, it was just overall super impressive to me. I do enjoy films, like I said, that leave you in the dark. Like that we've covered previous films where the ending was kind of ambiguous, and I really enjoyed that. Like I really enjoy Shutter Island and stuff like
the
that.
mystery.
Yeah, it's fun to me. I think I'd probably give this film maybe a 4.25.
Okay.
Because it was really good, but the like harsh transitions or lack thereof, and the harsh cuts and everything kind of made me really be like, what is going? It disoriented me.
It's probably what they were trying to do.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
That part just made it really kind of hard for me to follow at times. So I think that might be my only like qualm, but again, I can appreciate the fact that that is probably what they were trying to do, and make it be like a loss of time and stuff.
Yeah,
so I can definitely appreciate that. But I don't know if the film
needed that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it did need it, I guess. I just don't know if the overall film as a whole, like, I guess there are other things that made me not want to give it a 5. But I really did enjoy it. I thought it was a stand-up film, and you should, if you're on the fence about watching this film, you should watch it alone for Christian Bale's performance and his butt.
Yeah. Very much that. I don't know. I watched it with Jazz. Kind of. She had already seen it, but just reading it, and she was like, "Oh, it was a really good movie," and I was like, "Okay, yeah." So I mean, yeah, I think it's just personal opinion, for sure. But that would make it like a 3.6 and a 4.2, like a 3.9.
Yeah.
Yeah. If
something
not a 4.
like that.
Yeah.
3.99.
3.99. 99 for American Psycho 2000. And yeah. Overall, it was still a pretty good film. Like, I mean, it's just because also like our rating system is very like doop.
Teeny tiny.
Yeah, so it's like either here or here. So it's in no way is it like a super bad film. I mean, it's still over 3.5.
Yeah,
it's just
I feel like if any of our films are over a 3, it's probably a pretty good film.
Middle of the road is more like 2.5. Yeah, and then if they're 2 or below, it's like stinker.
Yeah. Stinker.
But we are in the lovely Rogue Media Network studio. We love being in here.
Yes, we're actually in the studio again today.
We are,
which is so fun.
We are. You can listen to our podcast and a lot of other really awesome podcasts on their network website, which is roguemedianetwork.com.
That's right. And you can listen to us and all those other amazing podcasts on your
streaming services.
Yeah.
Platforms.
Wherever you listen. And the 2 biggest platforms would be
Spotify
and also Apple. But wherever you do listen, don't forget to
rate, review, like, and subscribe.
That's right, because that is the only way we can get ahead in this world. And then word of mouth, tell your friends. If you are a new listener, thank you for joining us.
Yes. Tell your ATMs.
Yeah,
buy a sticker and leave it on an ATM.
Yeah.
And where you can buy a sticker is at non-existent because we don't have stickers yet, but we will get them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get stickers. Those would be cute.
Yeah. And then
we've talked about merch forever.
It's okay. Someone make us merch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Super fan. And then what's next?
If you want to, next we'll be covering Split. So you're welcome to reach out to us and let us know your thoughts on Split.
Yeah.
And that way we can read your thoughts aloud as well.
Yes, please.
And if you've seen Split, and then I really have appreciated, I just want to give a shout out to our listener. Their Instagram handle is Happy Enchilada.
Happy Enchilada. Shout out.
I'm pretty sure anyways. Let me double check. Yep, Happy Enchilada. They've been so awesome with responding and letting us know, like they
interacting.
Yeah, interacting as well as everyone's amazing. But yeah, they said that it was an awesome episode about our Silence of the Lambs one, and that they feel like their Boo rating might have been unfairly elevated due to nostalgia and just loving the lore. And she said, if y'all haven't seen the Brian Fuller Hannibal TV show, it's perfection. And she said, I know it's too long form to cover here, but it's one of my faves. Have you seen Hannibal?
I haven't. No, I know what she's talking about.
Yeah, I have wanted to watch it for a long time. I just never have.
Yeah.
So that was what I responded with, was like, I've wanted to watch that show for so long. I'll have to look into it for sure. But yeah, just wanted to give a quick shout out to Happy Enchilada for always supporting us and being so interactive in our DMs and stuff too.
Shout out.
Same with Blue Fire.
Woo-hoo.
Yay. Those are our favorite Instagram buddies.
Which, if you do want to follow us or get into contact with us,
yes,
you can do that at our Instagram. And we only have one Instagram, and that is at Boobays Podcast. And that's at BOOBAES, because we're your Boobays, not your Boo Babes.
Yep. And yeah, reach out to us. Let us know your thoughts. And so that way we can read them aloud and have a conversation going. Because while Josh and I have a conversation and it's great, it's also nice to hear. Yeah, it's just us two. So it's nice to hear other input. And if you hated a film, we love hearing why people hate films.
Yeah.
Like
in fact, I want to hate films more.
I know.
I feel like I'm always like, we like it.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. I don't know. I hated it, but now that we're talking about it, I like it more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The more that we talk about the films, it always gives me a deeper appreciation.
Yeah, you find a reason to like art because it's art. It's all subject.
It's someone's interpretation.
Yeah.
And like, especially once we did the interviews with Hell House LLC.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And like actually getting to talk to the directors and the producers and
some actors
and stuff. It was like, they're real people behind these things.
Yeah, for sure.
And they
especially because
put their blood, sweat, and tears into it.
Especially because if you get used to seeing like the glitz and glam of Hollywood stuff, you know, because that's obviously like, you know, it's got all the money behind it and it's get pushed, so we see it. But like other projects and stuff, there's so many people and actors that start off or like that are like going through the process of like, well, we haven't hit the Oppenheimer yet, but we're like, you know, we still got good stuff to make, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really
everyone's
awesome.
got to start somewhere. And horror films in particular are definitely not put into the limelight very much as far as the Hollywood, and they never win awards.
Yeah, like I'm sure he wasn't even nominated for anything for this, but he should have been nominated for like a best actor lead award because he played a crazy person pretty good. Yeah.
He did. He did it so well.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, is there anything else that we need to add for this episode?
I don't think so. Until next time, you guys.
Bye, bays.
Bye, bays.
Woo!
Boo, bays.
Boo bays. Boo bays.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.